Welcome again. Today we look at topic 5.5.1, outline the types of solid domestic waste, and 5.5.2, describe and evaluate pollution management strategies for solid domestic waste. Domestic waste. Everything that we throw into our garbage, trash, or rubbish bins each day. Everything that the restaurant throws into its dumpster every day. Everything that the hotel disposes of each day. Everything that the international airport and the train station disposes of every day. Eventually, it comes to a huge pile of paper, cardboard, metal, glass, organic waste consisting of food waste, vegetable peelings, bones, and of course, plastic, and more plastic. Returning to our model from figure 5 of the ESS guide, the first level of management requires us to rethink, and in the case of solid waste, the 3 R's, reduce, reuse, and recycle, is a readily available option. This picture of a Beijing man with the cloth bag in one hand and the plastic bag in the other. Throughout China, the use of plastic bags requires consumers to pay for the bag at the point of purchase. This strategy not only reduces the amount of plastic bags that people use, but even for those who can easily afford the 0.30 RMB for a plastic bag, it brings a certain amount of awareness when they are asked at the point of purchase, "Do you have a bag?" And in this way, the simple strategy not only provides a financial incentive to move towards the cloth bag, but it also provides a means of educating the masses and bringing awareness of the need to move away from plastic and towards the cloth bag. The option to reuse is also a means of reducing waste. Clothing, for example, that's worn out but still useful could be shipped or sent to the less privileged. Shoes can be sent to the less privileged for use. And of course there is recycling, which allows paper and plastic and glass to be separated by households for eventual recycling at some processing plant. Here you can see plastic bottles can be made into pellets, which could ultimately end up becoming brooms. It must be pointed out that recycling of this nature does not come at zero cost to the environment, for the collection of the plastic and then of course the processing of the plastic requires use of some form of energy, and in this sense there is an environmental cost associated with recycling. Another recycled product, the cover of this notebook, coming from these used tires. Composting is another way of recycling the waste that we generate, with compost heaps focusing on the organics produced from gardens and from kitchens, and allowing nature to degrade these materials over time. In many developing countries, animal waste is also used as a source of cooking gas. Here, this pig is kept not only as a source of food, but as a source of gas, with its organic waste being fed into a biodigester to generate small amounts of cooking gas. But no matter how much we reduce and we reuse and we recycle, ultimately, a large amount of waste needs to be disposed of. One option for disposing of this waste in an environmentally friendly manner is incineration. Incinerators need to be regulated, requires sophisticated air cleanup systems to reduce harmful emissions into the air. And despite expensive cleanup systems, incinerators still emit large amounts of greenhouse gases. In addition, incinerators also generate a very concentrated toxic ash which contains heavy metals, PCBs, and dioxins. This incinerator ash must be disposed of. A big plus with using incinerators comes from its ability to generate electricity. As a result of the large amounts of heat generated with the constant incineration of waste, this can be linked to the generation of steam for turning electrical turbines. Where space is available and incineration technology does not exist or is too expensive, a hole in the ground or an empty lot will suffice for collecting waste. The landfill is the oldest means of disposing of solid waste. If a landfill site is properly planned, then it would be called a sanitary landfill, and it would include a special polythene liner at its base. Waste that enters such a landfill would be covered over on a regular basis with soil to prevent scavengers and rodents from living in the trash heaps. Over time, such a landfill fills up with more and more cells, each one covered over with soil. Eventually, every landfill comes to the end of its lifetime. When it rains, water percolates down through the rotting waste, dissolving a range of chemicals and producing landfill leachate. A properly designed sanitary landfill comes with a leachate collection system that collects this liquid waste and drains it into a special leachate collection pool. In addition to leachate, over time, landfills release large amounts of carbon dioxide and methane gas. The flammable methane gas must be vented in a controlled manner. These vent pipes allow for the gases to be released and reduce the threat of landfill fires. This picture shows a closed landfill with its protruding vent pipes. Apart from the dangers of leaking leachate and torn liners, the fire hazards, the big shortcoming of having a landfill is that it eventually fills up and must be closed. Landfill space is not unlimited. In searching for the best way to manage solid waste, it's important to realize the human dimension. Here, just outside Indonesia's capital of Jakarta, is a thriving industry where people make a living out of sorting the trash heaps, searching for recyclable materials. And while some countries would reject this kind of lifestyle, it is a way of life for many people in developing countries, and for them it represents a way out of rural poverty and an opportunity to live on the fringes of cities and allow their children to have better opportunities for education and employment. We have looked so far at ways to reduce the human activity producing the pollutant, and at ways that regulate the release of the pollutant into the environment with sanitary landfills and incinerators. With the issue of solid waste, the option to remediate is often not considered seriously. But there have been cases where toxic waste has contaminated the land to such an extent that remediation was the only option. The community of Love Canal in Niagara Falls in the United States is one such area. And it was the tragedy that occurred there as a result of a leaking toxic waste dump site that led to the establishment of special regulations called the Comprehensive Environmental Response, Compensation and Liability Act, or the Superfund, where the federal government, working through the Environmental Protection Agency, takes responsibility and remediates or cleans up a polluted site, eventually bringing to justice those who were responsible and charging them for the cost of cleanup.